Okay, so continuing from our presentation last week, we had peak formations, understanding peak formations, how to identify them. Okay, so today we're going to go into the second part of this, into safety trades. Okay, so how to identify peak formations. After that, what kind of trade setup are we looking for? We're looking for a safety trade setup. Okay, so today we're going to go over some examples, how to identify those, and how to trade them. Okay, so if you remember from our last week's presentation on peak formations, how to identify them, we talked about how there was a three-step process that they all go through, right? Induce, trap, and a shift, all right? So the inducement, what you're looking for is many days of rise or drop, okay? And then you're going to look for a trap, a multi-day M or W formation at the top of the peak. And then you're going to look for a shift away from that peak, 50 to 100 pips, close of the day at the extreme of structure. Okay, I'm going to show you some examples of that and what I mean by that, right? Once you have these conditions, what you can do is you can look for a safety trade setup. Okay, so what is a safety trade setup? What are the rules that we're looking for when we're trading a safety trade? Okay, so first you're going to have to identify the peak, right? You're going to have an anchor set up at the peak, peak formation. 180 off the anchor, so that's the close of the day at the extreme of structure. What I'm talking about is usually it's 50 to 100 pips. Okay, that's the range that we're looking for. More specifically, you're looking for a 180 move. Okay, so because obviously the ADR ranges of certain pairs are some are bigger and some are smaller. You have some with the 60, 70 pip ADR ranges, and then you have some that have 150. ADR ranges. So obviously with the smaller range pairs, you're going to be looking for around closer to 50 pips for the move off of the peak. And then for the higher ADR pairs, obviously you're looking for 100 or more. Okay, so 180 off the anchor set up at the peak. You're going to look for a 1350 cross on the H1 chart, which translates to a 5200 cross on the M15. Okay, there are certain situations where non-cross safety can happen as well, meaning the 1350 on the H1 or the 5200 on the M15 does not cross, and I will show you some examples of that today and later on. Okay, you're going to have some kind of stop hunt, okay, visible stop hunt to the EMA or the top or the bottom of the Asian range. Okay, and there are going to be some scenarios where you will not get a visible stop hunt, and it just runs. Okay, but you got to understand that's just the way it is. What we would like to do is we like to trade where we see a visible stop hunt. Those are easier to spot and those are safer to take, because if you don't see that stop hunt, sometimes you can get yourself in trouble. Right, so it's easier to take stop hunt, visible stop hunt when you see it, and then you see the pattern, and then you take the trade. Okay, that's a better setup. All right, what we'd also like to see is TDI showing out of the band, in the band, 1-1 we call it, right, condition, where divergence is preferred. Okay, so if you see divergence, that's nice. Sometimes you don't get divergence, but obviously if you see it with divergence, it's much stronger setup. Okay, on short trades, you're going to look for an M pattern with a nameable second leg. Okay, and then on long trades, obviously you're going to look for a W pattern with a nameable second leg. You're not always going to get a nameable second leg pattern, but it's better that you do. And if you don't get the nameable second leg, then you're just looking for a shift candle close above the 13, and standard TDI rule confirmations apply. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to look at some chart examples of some safety trades. All right, and I'm going to show you what to look for. All right, so here, this example, we're looking at GBP CHF. All right, this is the H1 chart. Okay, you can see here, and this is a peak low condition. All right, so right off the bat, you'll notice, okay, many days of drop. Right, many days of drop. All right, into this right here, peak low condition. All right, and then what we do get is a multi-day W pattern. So this is the inducement, okay, many days of drop. Here's our multi-day W pattern. This is the trap, okay, and then we're going to look for the shift and how we can capture this move right here. This is the safety trade move. So we're going to go into the M15 chart, and I'm going to show you how to look for the clues and how to catch that move. All right, so this is the M15 safety, and this is what we're looking for, okay, so see this move right here. This is the peak low, right? We want to shift away from the peak move, from the peak low, sorry. So the move is 50 to 100 pips, and then we close at the extreme of structure. Okay, closing at the extremes meaning it's closing at the top here near these levels. Okay, it doesn't give a big pullback like a New York reversal where it pulls back into the middle of the range and then consolidates, something like that, but you're getting a big 50 to 100 pip move, all right, and then you're getting some kind of close near the extreme of structure over here. Okay, so that is the shift. All right, so we have induce, many days of drop, the W pattern, multi-day W pattern, that's the trap, and then here's the shift away from the peak, close at the extreme of structures. Okay, 180R, usually 180R off of the peak low or peak high if it's a sell. All right, so here is our Asian range. Okay, the following day. All right, notice that we have a 5200 cross right here, okay, into Asia. So there's your 5200 cross. Right, that's the 1350 cross on the H1 chart. All right, and then the following day, what we get is a nice visible stop hunt. Right, 1, 2, 3 hits to the low. All right, a nice visible stop hunt. Look at the TDI. Also a nice 1-1 condition out of the band, in the band at the extremes. Okay, so right here we also have a second leg nameable pattern railroad tracks. Okay, and that will be your entry. That's where the TDI confirms RSI above the signal line, above the market baseline. Second leg nameable pattern closed above the 13 EMA, and that's your move. Okay, so looking at another example here, let's look at UCAD. All right. Here's another peak low condition. This is also many days of drop. You can't see this because the chart is kind of cut off on the side here, but you can see many days of drop if you zoom out into this peak low here. Okay, so this is the inducement. Here we go, and then we have the trap. All right, you can see multi-day W pattern. It's lots of hits to the low here. It's kind of an ugly W pattern and actually extended because of the consolidation, but this is a multi-day W pattern, right? However ugly it is. All right, so now how do we catch the safety move? Let's go into the M15. Let's look for the shift. Okay, so you can see here, this is the M15 safety on the UCAD, and this move right here is the shift. Okay, so here's our peak low, 50 to 100 pips, close at the extremes, right? You can all agree that this is close at the extremes. We're not pulled back anywhere near the middle. It's right at the top here where it's closed, and then it goes into the Asian session. Okay, Asian session comes, okay, London session comes, and now you can see 5200 cross here in New York into Asia. All right, so there's your 5200 cross. Now we're looking for what? Okay, we're looking for our visible stop hunt. So you can see that right there. All right, it's actually happened 3 times. Okay, so we moved once out of the box here. It's kind of a tiny inducement out of the box here. Nice little stop hunt. It comes down a second time. All right, and here you could be looking for your entry. All right, and you might have taken an entry here. You might see this as your entry right here, just below the low here. But what they did is they came back a third time, okay, and they even wicked the 200 EMA here, took out the lows here. All right, but right there, you can see that we have a TDI 1-1 condition, okay, out of the band, in the band, where previously on this one we had an out of the band. Okay, so not that these don't work out, because they do as well sometimes, but it's a little stronger, a little better confirmation when you have the out of the band, in the band. Okay, and then you also have the TDI kind of curving up as well. So right here we also have a second leg nameable pattern. All right, railroad tracks, and then you have the TDI confirm, RSI above the signal line, above the market baseline. You have a beautiful move up right here. Okay, so there's your safety move on the UCAD M15. That's how you spot those. All right, one more example on GA. Okay, so this is also a peak low condition. You can see here many days of drop. All right, into this peak low condition. Okay, multi-day W pattern. Right, now this was kind of like a half a bat. All right, so you notice this shift above the apex here, and one leg higher than the other. All right, so inducement phase, many days of drop. Trap phase, multi-day W pattern. Okay, and now let's look for the shift and the safety trade. Okay, so on the M15 chart, looking at this, you can see here, where's the shift? Here's the peak low, right? Shift away from the peak low formation, 50 to 100 pips, close at the extremes. Okay, one more time, just to reiterate that. Close at the extremes. We had a nice big range on Asia, right? But that shouldn't matter. All right, so 80 pip range on Asia. Still looking for a stop hunt. It makes it harder to look for a stop hunt because sometimes this could be considered the stop hunt here. But there's your 5200 cross. Okay, looking for stop hunt to the EMA. This, like I said, this could be considered right here. This W could be the stop hunt to the EMA, to the bottom of the box, and you could have falsely assumed that was the entry. I mean, I wouldn't fault you if you took that entry. That's actually a good entry. Okay, but what they did was they had to, I guess they had to clear out the contracts and take it down lower. Okay, so if you take that trade and you got stopped out, don't be afraid to enter again, because the direction. Okay, that this trade is going to go. Okay, so here's your visible stop hunt. Okay, nice big wick down low. Okay, so you have 1, 2, 3 pushes down. All right, close above the 13, back below, and you have a nice W pattern here. Okay, in the Euro session Brinks box. All right, here's your TDI 1-1 condition, out of the band, in the band. This is just slightly touching the band, but that's still considered out of the band. Okay, and then in the band. Second leg nameable pattern. We didn't really get a second leg nameable pattern. You could consider this kind of like a broken railroad track. Okay, so these two candles make up the one red candle, and then this is the railroad track. Okay, but second leg entry on the shift candle. If you don't get a nameable pattern, then you're just looking for a shift candle, right? Shift candle, close above the 13 EMA, RSI above the market baseline, above the signal line. So there's your TDI confirmation, and there's your entry for a nice long trade. Okay, so if you took that trade and got stopped out, you made it all back here. Okay, and then some. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to look at a couple examples of some non-cross safeties, right? So I said that there was also a possibility where you get a non-cross safety, and that's what I'm going to show you what that looks like right here. Okay, so this is GJ. Okay, peak low formation. You can see again many days of drop. Okay, right here, many days of drop. That's the inducement. Okay, getting people to believe in the trend is going down and continuing to go down. Right. Culminating here at this peak low, peak formation. Okay, this is a trap phase, multi-day W pattern. Okay, again, it's kind of like a half a bat pattern, shift above the apex here. All right, so an H1 half a bat pattern. There's the shift. So let's look at the M15. Let's see how we can catch this safety. Okay, so again, like I said, this is an example of a non-cross safety. All right, here's the peak low. We're going to look for the shift away from the peak formation, 50 to 100 pips, closing at the extremes, right? So there's your shift away. That's the shift phase. And then into the Asian session and into the London session, we get our visible stop hunt. Okay, now notice we did not get a 5200 cross, right? 5200 cross is still very wide apart, and it has not crossed, so we get no cross of the 5200. However, we still get our stop hunt out of the Asian box. Okay, our TDI is actually not a one-to-one in the band, out of the band, in the band. Okay, it's actually an out of the band, out of the band. All right, so here first leg, here second leg. All right, out of the band, out of the band. And I said that that's those can happen. All right, but what you're mainly looking for is you're looking for the move, the shift, then you're looking for the stop hunt, and then the nameable pattern, which is right here. We have a morning star, even though we have 3 dojis here kind of in the middle of that pattern, but that is a second leg nameable pattern. Shift above the 13 and the 15 EMAs, close with the RSI above the signal line, above the market baseline, gives you your confirmation, your entry, and a nice move up from there. Okay, and then going further into continuation, you can see that the 5200 crosses into the next day, and then you can look for a stop hunt again, or W off the 200 EMA, and then a pattern, and then a move upwards. Okay, so that is an example of a non-cross safety. Let's look at another one. Okay, this one is EJ. All right, so once again, many days of drop. Okay, many days of drop here, inducement phase into the trap phase. Okay, multi-day W pattern. Again, another half a bat pattern. All right, and then we're going to look for our shift on the M15 and the safety trade. Okay, so this is the M15 chart. Here's our peak low. Okay, so we're going to look for our move, shift away from the peak formation, 50 to 100 pips, close at the extremes. Right, again, nice sideways action here, but close at the extremes. Away from this peak formation, that is a shift. Okay, now we're looking into Asian session and into London. We're looking for our stop hunt low, right, which you do get right here. Okay, visible stop hunt out of the Asian box. okay, and a nice railroad track second leg nameable pattern. All right, so right there is your entry. TDI gives you sort of a again out of the band. Okay, so not quite a 1-1 condition, but we do get that second leg nameable pattern with the visible stop hunt, and that's your move right there. Okay, now you'll notice that move causes the 5200 to cross. We did not get that 5200 cross earlier, right? This is an example of a non-cross safety. So the safety crosses, or sorry, the EMAs crosses after this safety move. Okay, and then here is where you get the W off the 200. Okay, and then another continuation move up. So you could have taken this setup as well if you were trading in Asia and caught that 50 pip move. Okay, so two setups here in one. So sometimes when you have the non-cross safety, you can look for that cross to happen, and then you can look for the continuation setup afterwards. So it's nice to get the non-cross, and then you get the cross, and then also a continuation setup after that. All right, so hopefully that was clear to you guys. Okay, that's going to do it for today's lesson. So if you guys take a look at your charts, go back and back test this, look for spot possible peak formations. You can go back a couple weeks on different currency pairs and just try to spot the peak formations. Look for the inducement, the trap, and the shift, okay? And then look for your visible stop hunt, look for your pattern, and then see how many safety trades you can pick up, in backtesting. All right, that's going to do it for today's lesson. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope that was helpful. If you have any question on this, please ask me in the chats or direct on Telegram. Okay, I will see you guys on the next lesson. Thanks a lot.